You know, every now and then, a book comes along that does more than just tell a story. It paints a portrait of a nation's leadership so controversial that it gets banned, yet so compelling it becomes a massive underground bestseller. Today, we're going to unpack the claims inside one of those books, a book that tried to sketch a very, very different kind of royal portrait.
And wow, the title alone is a statement. The Predator King Seizing Morocco. This wasn't just some gentle critique from authors Catherine Gracier and Eric Laurent. No, this was a direct accusation, and it was aimed right at the very top.
And the reaction? It was immediate. The monarchy banned it, of course, which is pretty standard for books that are critical. But you know what happens when you ban something, right? It just fueled the fire. The book absolutely exploded online, in French and Arabic, becoming this huge viral sensation. So what on earth did this book say that made it so dangerous to the powerful and so irresistible to the people?
To really get why this book hit so hard, we have to look at the exact moment it landed. See, this wasn't a book dropped into a vacuum. This was like a match thrown into a powder keg.
Okay, so picture this. The book drops right in the aftershocks of the Arab Spring. All through 2011, Morocco was being rocked by its own massive protests, led by what was called the February 20th movement. I mean, week after week, you had tens of thousands of people in the streets, all demanding one thing, an end to corruption. This book didn't just comment on that anger, it gave a name and a face to the very system they were all protesting against.
So if the system was the target, who were its architects? Well, according to the authors, this whole enterprise revolved around a very small and very, very powerful inner circle. The book really zeroes in on these two men, Fouad Ali Al-Himma and Munir Majidi. Now, both are royal advisors, both are described as close friends of the king, and to the protesters out on the street and in the pages of this book, they became the symbols, the faces of a system that was supposedly designed to capture the country's entire economy for just a select few. But this portrait of corruption went way beyond just a couple of individuals. The authors claimed it was a systemic strategy, a deliberate plan to completely control the market. It was, they alleged, all about rewriting the rules of the game. So the official term they used was national champion. And it sounds great, right? The idea of a powerful Moroccan company that would act as a locomotive, pulling the whole economy forward, lifting everyone up. That was the public story anyway. Yeah, well, the book offers a very different definition. It argues that a national champion was really just a company where the king himself held shares, a company that was deliberately placed in a market where all the real competition had been totally wiped out. The book breaks down this alleged playbook into three pretty simple steps. Step 1, create these so-called champion companies that have royal shares. Step 2, use the power of the state to crush any and all rivals. And Step 3, just sit back and watch as these new monopolies become, as the authors put it, cash machines that are fed by Moroccan consumers.
Look, for a lot of people, these were suspicions they'd had for years. But what made this book an absolute bombshell was that it had something new, something explosive, a high-level insider who was ready to talk.
And that insider was Khalid Al-Ghuri. Man, what a story this guy has. First, he was the celebrated CEO of a huge bank at TJ Wafa. Then, bam, he's suddenly ousted. Next, he's actually prosecuted by the state and convicted. But then, right before the book comes out, there's this really strange twist. He's given a full royal pardon, a move that some people saw as a desperate attempt to keep him quiet. So why did he become such a problem? The book lays out three big reasons. 1, he wanted to separate the monarchy from business to avoid conflicts of interest. 2, he was openly and vocally against corruption. And 3, his strong ties to French business circles meant he could potentially expose what was happening to the rest of the world. And this is maybe Al-Ghuri's most damning piece of testimony in the whole book. He explains exactly how the system worked. He says, the moment someone speaks in the name of the king's will, no one dares to oppose it. I mean, that's an incredibly powerful claim about how royal authority was allegedly being used to shut down any debate and just force through business deals.
Okay, so the book isn't just pointing fingers inside Morocco. It also zooms out to look at the international situation that, according to the authors, actually allowed this system to thrive. And specifically, it points a finger directly at France.
One of the authors, Catherine Gracier, explains France's long-standing position. She calls it a kind of unwritten law that Morocco's stability is just untouchable. For decades, this meant a total hands-off approach, where the #1 priority was keeping the regime stable, no matter what.
But here's the thing. The authors argue that this entire policy is completely outdated. The old justification, supporting the monarchy to prevent an Islamist takeover, they say that just doesn't hold up anymore, especially after an Islamist party actually got democratically elected.
So all of this, the protests, the accusations about the inner circle, the whistleblower, it all builds to the book's final and pretty stark warning, a warning delivered right to the monarchy itself.
Their conclusion is just blunt. They basically say that with all these accusations of cronyism and profiteering now out in the open for everyone to see, the regime has completely run out of road. It just can't ignore the demands for change any longer.
And this is the final choice they present, and they frame it in the starkest terms imaginable. It's an ultimatum. Either the monarchy gets out of business and really, truly reforms, or it risks the exact same fate that brought down other regimes during the Arab Spring. And that really brings us to the final, lingering question that this whole portrait leaves us with. And it's not just a question about Morocco, really. It's about the nature of power itself. Can a system that is so deeply intertwined with economic interests, as this book alleges, ever truly reform itself from the inside out? That's the question at the very heart of this story.